don't have to explain anything more about the purpose and why we do this. We all know that the mandate was given by the Minister of Higher Education to engage on WBE. In a nutshell, I just quickly want to run through our plan for 2013. Firstly, the strategic and operational planning, especially the targets and the budget, was being done by the executive managers of the college together with SACI and also the ETDP-CETA. A key pin for the success of LWE is the LWE committee, which was established in the college. They have a very important role to play because recruiting of the host employers is very important. What we have done there is, first, it's an information session where it's actually where information on the programs the college offer is being discussed with a specific employer, and then also the core business of that business or industry, to see the link of who and which lecturers can be placed at that specific industry or business. The recruiting and training of the lecturers, it's also important, coming back from the information session. Once we have also recruited the lecturers, the big job of the LWE committee kicks in, is especially when they now have to do the planning, and it's quite detailed planning. Planning between the college as well as the employers, the host employers. What will the people do when they are there? What is the challenges for industry when we place people there? We know, for instance, a non-artisan can't just go into an industry and work there because of health and safety regulations and all these things. The next is actually then, after the recruiting and the training have taken place, all the planning is in place, the participation in the LWE and also mentoring. That is very important. The mentoring visits which is being done, while not just the students but also lecturers are with the host employers. Very important for us is the debriefing sessions afterwards, debriefing sessions with the host employers as well as the lecturers. And then lastly, feedback. Feedback to the executive committee or the executive management of the college, but also to SACI, ETDP-CETA, as well as DHET. If we look at the LWE structure, what you can see here is that with us it's also important, it's driven by the academic head. What also is important is our placement officer, which is normally working with the student placement, is also part of the committee, for the simple reason that when the person is placing students, he already builds relationships, which then also make it easier for us to get lecturers in. We have appointed on a post level 2 the LWE manager, and this person is very, very busy. This is the person that is organizing the information sessions, the planning sessions, after placement, looking at verifying the logbooks that the lecturers have completed in order to do payments, also organizing the debriefing and the feedback and the reports and everything. So this was a big help once we appointed this person, and it's helping us to really achieve what we must, because there's a lot of administration involved in this whole process. Then you can also see the campus managers and the HODs and then the lecturers themselves. Mostly the committee, the LWE committee, is the academic head, the LWE manager, and then the campus managers and the HODs from the campuses. What we also are important, and I'm not going to expand on that, but just to mention is you can see that we do have HR also involved. The reason for that is twofold. One is monies. I told you about the budget, the HR development budget. If we need monies, we utilize that because we are really also skilling and developing our lecturers. And then also, there you see it, what we also do is especially with our underqualified lecturers, is that before we go into any training or whatever, is that we always look at how can this training not just improve the lecturer, but maybe lead towards a professional qualification. So that's why we also have that person there. And then also what we have started doing at the college, and which is successful, we all know that part of IQMS is the developmental program or developmental plan that each lecturer must draw up together with their seniors or their supervisors. And we have brought WBE in there. So that's why it's also, HR is also involved, and you will also see we are paying stipends to the lecturers, so that's also why HR is important. The participation, it is with our college currently compulsory that all lecturers, vocational and the fundamental lecturers, participate in LWBE for 2 to 5 days in a 2-year cycle. So the lecturers was placed in 2013, they don't have to go in 2014, but the ones that didn't participate in 2013 must now participate in 2014. Then the ones that participated in 2013, they must now again participate in 2015. That's where that information session that we have with the employer, that's where the links are created to ensure that the lecturer really, when he visits, that it's not for him a waste of time, but that really what he is teaching is linked. So we make sure before we go into detailed planning of what is expected from the lecturer by the company, what do we want the lecturers to learn while they are there, before that planning sessions, that is now already being sorted out during the information session. The lecturers, it's important for us to train and prepare our lecturers for LWBE. There is a lot of things, specifically in the part of the training and preparation is where they also get a briefing, and there we get somebody from the host employer to come in, and they will then give a sort of an induction and training and background of the company to these lecturers. We train them on the completion of the logbooks and all those things. I'm not going to give more detail just now. There I've said the logbooks must be completed. In the logbook there's a lot that must be done by the lecturer, but there are also part that must be completed by the host employer. So afterwards you have a book that you can really verify and that you can see the value that it put, or the development for the lecturer in the whole process. Mentor visits, there normally it is our education specialists and the HODs and campus managers that are mostly doing the visits to lecturers or to the host company while lecturers are busy with the WBE. The LWE. Then also I've mentioned the debriefing sessions afterwards, to sit with the company to hear from their side. What was their challenges? How did they experience the fact that our lecturers were working in their organization, in their business or industry, but also with the lecturers. And debriefing also to allow the lecturer to share with his colleagues, not necessarily only with the colleagues offering the same subject, but to all lecturers, because it was very interesting that a lot of the things that they come back with was not subject related, but was things like the importance of time management, productivity, all those things that they are not just going to share with their students, but they also feel is important for their fellow colleagues and lecturers to know about. And then what is important, we are paying our lecturers a stipend of 500 Rand a day. You will see soon why this is important, especially if you are working in a rural area where a lot of times, for instance, if we look at our Sibande campus, which is about 10 kilometers from the Swaziland border, a lot of times if those people go for the LWE, they can't do it close to their homes. They have to travel to bigger centra, which means it's cost involved. Normally they do it in a holiday because they can't do it when it's teaching and learning time. Now they have to travel with their own cars. So it's things like that that contributed, and we are privileged that our college council, when the previous report of 2013 of the placement and everything was being taken to the college council, specifically the council members said, what can we do? The academic head, I think she proposed 300 rand, and after looking to the budget, the college council felt, no, let's make it 500 rand. Right. Yes or no? Must you do it or not? I just quickly want to share with you our achievements. In 2013, we have placed a total of 50 lecturers already through the process. We also have very successful functions like business breakfasts and cocktail evenings with a dual purpose, is to show our appreciation to the host employees and as well as to do recruitment. So this is functions that we use. And when we invite them, we invite our current host employers, but also the potential employers. So it's quite functions, two of those functions that we have already done successfully. The successes, lecturer development. I'm not going to say a lot about it. For their subject, for them to go and see how does my subject fit into the workplace is an eye-opener. And I'm telling you, they are coming back enthusiastic about it, but also that add-on part that I've told you about. Things like, as I said, time management and productivity, and those things had a big impact on them. We have also discussed a very important thing last year, which we are concentrating on. Vanessa is going to talk shortly about different types of LWE. And what we have seen is that it's important for us to take our experienced lecturer and give them exposure to the workplace, to see how does my subject fit into the workplace. So it's a lot of observing taking place and sometimes participating. But what is also very important, another part that came up for us was, we have lecturers, some of them were artisans 20 years back before they joined the college as a lecturer. Or some of them have a lot of theoretical knowledge, but they don't really know how it fits into the practical. That is WBE for training, where our lecturers are going to an employer and they are trained there on the new machines and technology and whatever is being used, which is sort of a total different approach. And we have already established 2 partnerships there. TMI, where our automotive lecturers went to a training session down in Nelspruit to the Bascourt Training Academy, and they were actually being trained there on technology. You will see photos later on where they are assembling machines and things like that. And also with the ETDP-CETA, where currently for this 2 weeks of holiday, up until Wednesday next week, most of our electrical lecturers are at the Skills Academy in Standerton with a facilitator from ETDP-CETA, and they are getting hands-on training on electrical stuff. I'm from the business study side, so please don't want to give away my limited knowledge on this, but I can tell you they are in PPE with toolboxes, working on panels and things like that. So it's actual training of the people also in an LWBE environment. Our challenges, as I've told you, in a rural college, it's sometimes the problem is your lecturer transport. We have lecturers that actually is staying in the Eastern Cape and they're sitting in Mpumalanga. So on holiday when they go home, they want to do LWBE close to their home. And then they need to travel. They can't use a college car to do that. So obviously now they have to travel with their own. They have to use their own transport. That's, for instance, some of the reasons why the stipend have been increased. So that was a big thing, the lecturer transport. So we have solved that problem by increasing the stipend. We also know the health and safety regulations. Non-artisans in a workplace can create problems. We like to place our lecturers in the Sussels and the Escoms and those places, but they have health and safety regulations which they can't bend to accommodate us. So in this planning sessions that we have, once we get an agreement between the college and the employer that they want to host our students. Our lecturers. That is part of that planning thing, is to work out exactly where will these people be allowed, what can they do, what can't they do. Injury risks, a lot of times the host employers are asking, but now what if your people get hurt? That was being sorted by insurance that was being taken out by the college, specifically then when lecturers are going. And then also, if it sometimes happens, and this is the one that we don't really do, except for instance like next week when the training, sometimes with specifically if you send the people for training in the workplace, the LWE training part, not just the exposure part, it can happen that a day or two of lecturing time must be sacrificed, and then we sometimes have a challenge to substitute the lecturers with qualified people to take their classes for the 1 or 2 days that they are out. What we actually do is, if a lecturer is going in the normal class time for any exposure, they are not being paid the stipend. The stipend is only being paid if they are doing it, let's say, over a weekend or in the holidays. But if it is in, because they already get their normal salary, so we can't go for double pay. So that is the situation there. That is strictly controlled. Our plan for 2014 is we are working very hard on placing the lecturers who did not get the exposure last year. And we are well on the way. Then also specifically our executive managers, which is our CEO and the deputies, are currently engaging and helping us to establish the training partnerships. That's specific where you send your LWE lecturers for LWE training, where they must get training, not just watching and learning and monitoring and observing. And we are two that are quite near by implementation is one with TIT, the Tshwane University of Technology, and then also with Sasol. Key lessons learned: proper planning and preparation for LWE is important. Otherwise, it's not coming off the ground. All those things, as I've shown you, all the steps that we are following. We have seen that especially if we want this training partnerships, where we went to send our lecturers for the LWE training part, you can't really establish those partnerships when it is your campus managers, HODs, and those ones. We have tried it, it doesn't really work. Once we are going into this thing, which is a lot of planning, it's also taking a lot of time from your host employer, because they have to dedicate their staff member to train our people. There, the involvement of the senior managers is really important. Where we have asked our deputies and the CEO themselves to get involved, those specific partnerships are coming off the ground. Where it is lower down the order of like campus managers or HODs or whoever, normally it's not coming off the ground. So we have learned that lesson. If we want this, it's the execs that must step up and assist us to establish that once. Then, your passion and commitment of the LWE committee members is very important. I don't have to stress that, because headed by that ES, the LWE manager is really, if these people are committed and enthusiastic and passionate, it works. We also are utilizing lecturers with positive workplace experience to motivate the others. And we can see that after the holidays, when you give them in their staff rooms or on what platforms to share, and they are enthusiastic, they are start changing the minds of those that were resisting the whole process. Then also more focus on proper feedback sessions. We have said the feedback, the debriefing sessions, and that is really also important, and we also want to focus more, use more of that to improve the workplace strategies and implementation in the classroom, especially also to monitor in the classroom. And then we want to utilize the lecturer placement to secure possible placements of students,
and reps from industry visiting the college. So it's also important for us to bring the people from industry and business into the college, into the classroom, to come and see what we are actually doing.